Okay, this is the next segment of the French door conversion. Now, the double window opening has been drywalled. Okay, that is, I just placed the drywall up, but I do have a section over there that is actually a repair that's not related to the French doors. Now, I did want to point out that here's an example of where I'm putting in a patch section and it's overlapping on a single stud. So in this case, the drywall screw has to be no more probably than 3/8 away from the edge. And this is a tapered edge, which means this is sloping. And in this case, I don't worry about the head of this screw protruding because it's going on a slope, and I put it so that it breaks the paper on one side, but on the other side it doesn't. The real key on something like this is that you don't have an issue on the untapered section, okay? On the tapered section, it hit, but that's going to get completely covered with the drywall. That's just a minor point. Now, getting back to what's happening over here, this is a section of wallboard that was behind the baseboard unit, and it was wet. It had gotten wet over the years because of the vent stack. This is an example of what's known as a wet wall. The reason is because there's plumbing in this wall. This is a drain waste vent stack. This is dangerous because you could drill holes into this stack, and this is not a vent. This is the water. Wastewater goes down through there. And as I mentioned before, I had hung something on this wall without knowing where this was. It penetrated that. Over the years, the wallboard below the penetration got totally saturated. Now that I have taken out this heating vent, I replaced this section of wallboard, which was previously trapped behind there. I had replaced this a long time ago. I patched that hole with epoxy. Now this wall also has the hydronic heating pipe, 3/4 inch copper line, and that's on an exterior wall, which is not the best thing in the world. It does have insulation behind it, but if the house lost heat, it's always safer to have those copper lines on the interior of the house, not on the exterior wall, because the wallboard itself provides some additional insulation. In some places, this wouldn't even meet code. I really don't know what's going on here, but this is just the way it was built. Now, I'm ready to cover this up. I caulked under the baseboard, just because, I'm sorry, under the sole plate, just to seal it up. After this is all sealed up, I have access to this cavity from the basement, so I'll end up putting in more insulation around this pipe, but I put in insulation up in this section. I just kind of patched it in. So my plan here is I have cut wallboard to this dimension. I did have to cut a small notch in it because you can see this collar on the vent pipe actually protrudes to where the wallboard would want to be. So I just made a little cut there. I also cut out a piece of building paper just because the vapor barrier has been lost due to all of that water that saturated this, and I can't really replace it in a reasonable way, so I'm just going to put that paper over it. It probably won't really matter, but I can do it, so I will. And I'll just use pause and show you the steps. Okay, I just stapled in the building paper on this stud and on this stud. I really can't get into that corner, so I'm not going to worry about that. That's won't be so important. I could probably somehow get some type of a nail or something, but I won't worry about that. Okay, I have slid in the wallboard into position, and I marked 4 spots where I can screw it. I'm not going to worry about trying to get a screw into that corner because I have a stud that's relatively close, and of course it'll be very difficult to put something in there. Probably get something in that spot, not that spot, but this will be close enough, or at least I'll try it. Okay, I put the 4 screws in. On the tapered edge, I just broke the paper on the thicker section, not the thinner section. If I tried to break the paper on both sides, it would probably rip out through the paper on the side where it was thicker. It seems to fit around the vent stack, no problem. I'll probably caulk that up at some point, or put something over there. I just can't put the wallboard because the thickness is not good. No problem here, and it seems to be tight in the corner. I've heard someplace that said if you're within 4 inches, you don't need a second screw. This is probably a little bit more than 4 inches. It's probably 5, but I'm not going to worry about it just because it seems fine. Okay, so that's it for this segment. Next I'm going to have to prep this, possibly sand it or prime it so it'll accept drywall, then tape it, and then put the joint compound over that seam. So I still have quite a bit of work to do on this wall before it's looking good. So that's all for now. Thanks.